You're getting ripped off at Walmart and don't even realize it. Look, I love Walmart as much as the next person. Cheap prices, everything's there, easy. But some of their deals are absolute garbage. You buy them thinking you scored, then 2 weeks later you're cursing yourself because it broke, smells like mold, or just straight up doesn't work. Deflated air mattresses, batteries that die in 3 days, furniture that wobbles if you breathe near it. And honestly, the worst one on this list, you probably grabbed it last week thinking you were being smart. Today I'm breaking down 10 things you should never buy at Walmart unless you like throwing money in the trash. Hit subscribe to our channel for real shopping tips every week that'll actually save you money. All right, let's dive in. The bargain bin shower head. It seems innocent enough. Shiny chrome finish, promises of rainfall or massage spray on the box. But installing one of these discount dazzlers is basically an invitation for your bathroom to become a frustrating, dribbly mess. The stories are everywhere. Leaks appearing in days, spray patterns that hit everything but you, and mysterious pipe groans. That high pressure setting often feels less like a spa and more like a hesitant sprinkle. A Walmart worker once told me, "You install it today, it's dripping by tomorrow." Sure, you could return it, but by then you've already drilled holes, thrown away the packaging, and are standing there wet and annoyed. If you want a shower that actually rinses shampoo out of your hair without a fight, it's worth spending a bit more on a trusted name like Delta or Moen. Something engineered to handle water, not just briefly contain it. Your morning routine should refresh you, not frustrate you. Store brand bath towels. You pick up one of those Walmart bath towels and it feels nice and soft in your hands. Thick, fluffy. You're thinking, well, this seems just fine for the price. So you buy a couple and bring them home. Then you wash them once. All of a sudden, that soft towel feels like you're drying off with sandpaper. They start falling apart, leaving little bits of fuzz all over you. You get out of the shower and you've got more lint on you than water, and they don't even absorb anymore. The water just kind of sits there. One shopper lamented, "I dried off and looked like I'd lost a fight with a stuffed animal." The worst part, the guilt cycle. They're not quite terrible enough to justify tossing, so you endure a slightly disappointing dry off every single day. Save yourself the headache and spend a bit more on decent cotton towels. Turkish or Egyptian cotton if you can find it on sale. They'll actually stay soft, dry you off properly, and last you years instead of months. A good towel is worth the extra few dollars. Trust me on this one. Flimsy plastic storage bins. You know that wall of clear plastic bins they've got stacked up? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Nice, neat rows, lids that snap on, handles on the side. You're standing there thinking, finally, I'm going to get the garage organized. Well, here's what really happens. You get them home, load them up with anything heavier than a few sweaters, and the thing starts bowing out like it's tired. The lid pops off if you look at it wrong. Try to carry it by the handle, snap. It breaks right off in your hand like a saltine cracker. One fellow said he stacked just 2 bins of blankets in his hallway. Came back an hour later to find the whole thing collapsed. Plastic everywhere. Blankets all over the floor. The plastic is so thin and cheap, it just can't hold up. You try to stack them. The lids cave in. You move them around a bit. They start cracking at the corners. That dream of a tidy closet turns into you picking up the same stuff off the floor 3 times. The smart move? Spend a little more and get Sterilite or Rubbermaid instead. The real ones with reinforced edges and handles that actually work. They cost more, sure, but they don't fall apart the first time you use them. Nobody's got time to reorganize the same mess twice. Flimsy laundry baskets and hampers. These things look perfectly fine sitting there on the shelf. Lightweight plastic, maybe has a nice color or pattern. Seems like it'll do the job just fine, so you toss one in your cart. Then you get it home and load it up with laundry for the first time. The moment you lift it, crack. The handle snaps right off, or the bottom starts bowing out under the weight, warping like it's melting. Next thing you know, you're standing there trying to cradle this broken plastic shell full of clothes, hoping nothing falls out before you make it to the washing machine. Store employees say these come back all the time, often in pieces. And it makes sense. They're made from the cheapest plastic imaginable. They look okay sitting empty on a shelf, but the second you actually use them, forget it. The handles flex and break. The whole thing has no structure to it. Bump it into a door frame on your way down the hall, and that might be the end of it right there. Even when they don't break immediately, they're annoying. They catch on carpet, scrape across floors, can't hold a full load without bending. Get something sturdier instead. A woven basket with a liner corner. Heavy-duty plastic with reinforced handles, even one of those collapsible fabric ones. Laundry's tedious enough without your basket giving up halfway through. Mayonnaise furniture. It looks fine on the showroom floor. Clean lines, neutral finish, kinda modern, and that price makes you feel like you just won at shopping. But here's what happens when you get it home. You start putting it together and realize this thing is basically particle board held together with hope and maybe 4 screws. I'm not kidding. You try to move that bookshelf across the room, a corner chips off. The shelves start sagging within a week. And if you ever need to take it apart for a move, good luck. You'll have a pile of splintered sadness and about 30 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Someone left a review that said, "This wobbles more than I do before my morning coffee." Pretty much sums it up. Look, even at Walmart, there are better options if you're willing to look around a bit. Solid wood, metal frames, stuff that's actually built to last. Saving $40 today isn't worth buying the same falling apart nightstand 3 times in a year. Spend a little more now or keep replacing junk forever. Your choice. Ultra cheap wall clocks and home decor. Stand back a few feet and it looks pretty good. Clean design, nice font, maybe has that farmhouse or modern look everyone's into. You're thinking, this'll look perfect above the console table. So you buy it and hang it up. Within a week, the whole thing starts falling apart. The paint chips off. The clock hands come loose and start pointing in random directions. Sometimes it just stops ticking altogether, or it keeps ticking but loses 15 minutes a day, so you're never quite sure what time it actually is. Store employees see these come back constantly. One said, "People tell me all the time, I just bought this last week and the minute hand fell off." Another one joked, "You'd get better results drawing a clock on the wall with a marker." And it's not just clocks. The picture frames warp after a month. Canvas prints start buckling. Those decorative shelves tilt like they're about to slide right off the wall. Decor should make your home look nicer, not become something that annoys you every time you walk past it. If you want affordable stuff that actually holds up, skip those $5 and under bins. Look for things with some weight to them and decent reviews. At the very least, a clock should be able to tell time. Ultra cheap kitchen gadgets. Take a walk through the home section and you'll see them lined up. Toasters for $8, blenders for $12, sandwich presses that cost less than the sandwich you'd make with them. Looks like you're getting a great deal, and honestly, it's tempting. But here's what actually happens when you get them home. These things are built to survive maybe 2 uses before they give up on life. The motors are weak, the blades couldn't cut warm butter, and the whole thing feels like it might fall apart in your hands the first time you pick it up. Let's say you grab one of those cheap blenders. Seems fine at first. You toss in some fruit and yogurt, hit the button, and it makes this pathetic whirring sound. Then you start smelling burning plastic. It struggles with half a strawberry and then just quits entirely. One fellow said it blended 1 strawberry and acted like it had finished its life's work. Same story with the toasters. Want evenly toasted bread? Good luck with that. You'll get one slice that's burnt to a crisp and another that's barely warm. And the worst part? They don't last. Buttons jam up after a few weeks. Plastic pieces snap off. Cords start fraying. Put that money towards something from Hamilton Beach, Ninja, or Cuisinart instead. Brands that actually work and don't quit on you after 2 smoothies. Making breakfast shouldn't feel like a gamble. Generic rugs and floor mats. You see it on the shelf. Soft, cozy, and only $20. Seems like an easy decision, then you get it home and start actually using it. First time you vacuum, it sheds so much fuzz you could build a small animal out of it. Try to wash it in the machine. The rubber backing starts peeling off in sheets. Walk across it in your socks. You'll go sliding like you're on an ice rink. These cheap rugs look fine on the shelf, but the moment they hit real life, they fall apart. The corners curl up. The whole thing bunches and shifts around. Spill something on it and try to clean it. It shrinks or warps into some weird shape. And they're actually dangerous. Those curled corners are just waiting to catch your foot and send you tumbling. One person said, "It lasted 3 days before the corner curled up and nearly sent me flying. Even my dog looked concerned." Spend a bit more and get something with proper non-slip backing and bound edges. Something you can actually wash without it falling apart. A rug should stay put and look nice, not turn your hallway into an obstacle course. Discount air mattresses. Look at the box and it's making all kinds of promises. Plush top, reinforced seams, quick inflation. Seems like a perfect solution for when the grandkids visit or you're hosting company for the weekend. The price is right, so you grab one. Then comes the reality check. These budget air mattresses start leaking almost immediately. Sometimes it's the seams coming apart, sometimes it's the valve that won't seal properly. The plastic is so thin you can practically see through it. You inflate the thing before bed, everything seems fine. Then by 2 in the morning, you're slowly sinking toward the floor like you're on a deflating raft. Or you get this lopsided situation where one side stays firm and the other just gives up entirely, turns the whole thing into a weird slide that dumps you onto the carpet. I've heard from store employees who've had people march right back in with the mattress still half inflated, just to show them the leak in person. A floppy, silent protest. And those little patch kits they include? Completely useless, like trying to fix a screen door with Scotch tape. If you actually need a temporary bed, spend more and get Serta or Coleman, something with proper seams and valves that work. Waking up on the floor at 3 in the morning is nobody's idea of hospitality. Extended warranties on everyday stuff. This is the grand champion of checkout regret. You're standing at the register, just bought a toaster, a lamp, maybe a coffee maker, something that cost you 30 or 40 bucks. The cashier looks at you and says, "Want to add the protection plan? It's only a few dollars more." And in that moment, it sounds smart, responsible even, like you're being careful with your money. Here's what you're actually buying: a paperwork nightmare wrapped in fine print. These extended warranties are famous for all the things they don't cover. The hoops you have to jump through to file a claim are ridiculous. Store employees see it all the time. People come back with their broken item, the receipt, the warranty paperwork, everything, and they leave frustrated because the damage isn't covered, or they have to ship it back at their own expense and wait weeks to maybe get a replacement. Some plans won't cover accidental damage. Others require so much documentation and back and forth that it's honestly easier to just go buy a new one. One employee told me, by the time you finish filing the claim, you could have driven back, bought a replacement, and been using it for a month. And here's the real kicker. They push these warranties hardest on cheap items. You're spending $8 to protect a $25 blender. Take that $8 and either buy better quality from the start or save it. If the cheap thing breaks, you've already got money set aside for a replacement. No phone calls, no forms, no hassle. Real peace of mind comes from buying things that last, not from paying extra for a promise that's nearly impossible to collect on. And there you have it. 10 Walmart items that might look like a bargain, but come with a hidden tax on your time, money, or patience. Sometimes it's shoddy quality. Sometimes it's false economy. Sometimes it's just a brilliantly packaged trap. But the real lesson here isn't just about avoiding 10 bad products. It's about understanding that saving money isn't the same as always grabbing the cheapest thing on the shelf. Real savings come from value, buying smart, buying once, and buying something that actually works. So tell me, which one of these have you fallen for? What's your own Walmart regret story? Drop it in the comments below. Let's share the wisdom and maybe save someone else the headache. Now here's the thing about those frustrating purchases. They're not just random bad luck. There's actually a whole system behind it. Because when you walk into a Walmart, you're not just stepping into a regular store. You're walking onto one of the most carefully designed retail stages in the world. So before you grab that cart and start chasing the next low price, let's pull back the curtain and see what's really happening in those brightly lit aisles. Let's be clear about something. Walmart's main goal isn't to save you money. It's to make you feel like you're saving money while encouraging you to spend more. You walk in, see all those yellow rollback signs and that cheerful smiley face, and you get a little rush. Feels like a treasure hunt, doesn't it? But here's the truth. You're not the hunter. You're part of the scenery. Those rollback tags are psychological triggers, plain and simple. They create this sense of urgency, like you've found something special, even when the actual discount is maybe 50 cents. Studies show that items with any kind of special signage sell way more, regardless of whether the savings are real or not. It's the illusion of a deal that gets you. Then there's something called anchor pricing. They'll put a name brand item at a slightly higher price right next to their great value version. Suddenly, the store brand looks like a steal, even if it's still more expensive than it would be at another store. It's like showing you a picture of a fancy yacht and then offering you a canoe at a discount. Your sense of what's reasonable just got shifted. And let's talk about quality. That $5 t-shirt feels fine until the third time you wash it. Then it shrinks, fades, or develops holes. You didn't get a deal, you got something disposable. Walmart's savings often turn into a cycle of buying, using for a bit, throwing out, and buying again. You're not actually saving, you're just replacing things constantly. Ever notice how milk, eggs, and bread are always in the back corner, as far from the entrance as possible? That's not an accident. It's called the power aisle strategy, and it's designed to make you walk past everything else first. Chips, soda, seasonal stuff, random gadgets you didn't know existed. By the time you grab your milk, you've somehow picked up $40 worth of things you never planned on buying. On average, people spend about 25% more than they intended once they're inside. And here's another one. Bulk sizes aren't always better deals. That giant bottle of detergent looks like a winner, but if you check the price per ounce, sometimes it's barely cheaper than the small one. Sometimes it's actually worse. They're counting on most people not doing the math. You're not getting more for less. You're just buying more at an okay price. There's also the online versus in-store price issue. You see a great price on Walmart.com, drive to the store, and find the same item costs more on the shelf. And a lot of stores won't even match their own website. It's a bait and switch before you even get to the register. The whole experience is designed to build trust. Trust in the signs, trust in the low prices, trust that you're getting the best deal. But that trust is the real product they're selling. Once you're hooked on the feeling, that's when things get interesting. Now here's where it gets sneaky. What if I told you that even the name brand products you trust aren't always what they seem? You see a familiar brand on the shelf, a TV, a kitchen mixer, a pair of jeans, and it's priced noticeably lower than at other stores. Looks like a score, right? Not so fast. Often that lower price is because you're actually looking at a different product. Same brand name, similar packaging, but under the surface, it's been stripped down specifically for Walmart. Take electronics. That name brand 65-inch TV might have a model number that's exclusive to Walmart. Fewer HDMI ports, slower processor, cheaper display panel, flimsier stand. It's designed to hit a price point, not to match the quality of that brand's regular models sold elsewhere. Brand name shell, budget guts. Same thing with appliances. That stand mixer from a famous brand looks just like the $300 version at the department store. But the Walmart version? Plastic gears instead of metal. Weaker motor, less durable finish. Consumer reports show these exclusive models break down more often. They're built to a cost, not to last. Even clothing does this. A denim brand might make a line specifically for mass retailers. The logo's the same, but the fabric is thinner, stitching is weaker, zippers are cheaper. They're basically making knockoffs of their own product. And yes, it happens with food too. Major brands sometimes produce slightly different formulas for Walmart. A bit less of the premium ingredient, a bit more filler. The packaging looks identical, so you'd never know unless you compared them side by side. How do they get away with it? Most of us don't compare model numbers or read ingredient lists across different stores. We see the trusted logo and the good price and assume it's the same thing. Manufacturers get to protect their reputation at higher-end stores while still making volume sales at Walmart. Walmart gets to advertise brand names at rock-bottom prices. Everyone wins, except you, the customer who ends up with a lesser product. If you think the other stuff is sneaky, wait until you see what happens in the grocery section. It's designed to hit a price point, not to match the quality of that brand's regular models sold elsewhere. Brand name shell, budget guts. Same thing with appliances. That stand mixer from a famous brand looks just like the $300 version at the department store. But the Walmart version? Plastic gears instead of metal. Weaker motor, less durable finish. Consumer reports show these exclusive models break down more often. They're built to a cost, not to last. Even clothing does this. A denim brand might make a line specifically for mass retailers. The logo's the same, but the fabric is thinner, stitching is weaker, zippers are cheaper. They're basically making knockoffs of their own product. And yes, it happens with food too. Major brands sometimes produce slightly different formulas for Walmart. A bit less of the premium ingredient, a bit more filler. The packaging looks identical, so you'd never know unless you compared them side by side. How do they get away with it? Most of us don't compare model numbers or read ingredient lists across different stores. We see the trusted logo and the good price and assume it's the same thing. Manufacturers get to protect their reputation at higher-end stores while still making volume sales at Walmart. Walmart gets to advertise brand names at rock-bottom prices. Everyone wins, except you, the customer who ends up with a lesser product. If you think the other stuff is sneaky, wait until you see what happens in the grocery section. That gallon of milk for $2.50? Eggs for $1.20? Walmart's not making money on those. They're actually losing money to get you in the door, counting on you not leaving with just milk and eggs. You'll grab produce, snacks, a rotisserie chicken, maybe that little plant by the register. Studies show people who come in for these loss leaders end up spending way more than they planned. Your $10 milk run turns into $50. Then there's the produce. Looks bright and fresh under those perfect lights, doesn't it? But Walmart's supply chain is massive and centralized. That produce gets harvested way before it's ripe so it can survive shipping and storage. By the time it reaches you, it's been in transit for days, maybe weeks. Lost nutritional value, lost flavor. Looks okay, but often tastes like nothing. The meat department has its own issues. To keep prices low and make everything look consistent, a lot of the meat, especially chicken and pork, gets injected with salt water or saline solution. Makes it look plumper and juicier in the package. Adds weight, which you pay for. The downside? It cooks up rubbery, shrinks like crazy, and dumps unnecessary sodium into your meal. You're paying for added water, not just protein. And we can't ignore shrinkflation, the silent price hike that's been creeping up everywhere. Manufacturers quietly reduce how much is actually in the package while keeping the price the same, or even raising it a little. That cereal box gets taller, but thinner. The peanut butter jar suddenly has a giant dimple in the bottom. You're getting less for your money, and the busy packaging design makes it hard to notice. You think you're still getting the same deal you always did, but you're not. So you navigate the whole grocery section, cart full, total looks reasonable, and you feel pretty smart about it. But are you really winning? Or are you just playing a very clever, very profitable game that was designed for you to lose? Alright, let's say you've dodged the questionable meat, resisted the shrinkflated crackers, and ignored the seasonal aisle completely. You think you've beaten the system. But the store's policies themselves, that's the final layer, and maybe the most frustrating one. Remember when Walmart's whole thing was matching any competitor's price? Those days are mostly gone. The policy has been scaled way back, and where it still exists, the process is so complicated. Specific ads, identical model numbers, immediate verification, that it's hardly worth the trouble. Price matching is more of a marketing memory now than something you can actually use. Then there's the online versus in-store pricing mess. Prices can be different, and getting a store to honor the website price isn't guaranteed. You end up checking your phone against the shelf tag just to avoid overpaying. It's a hassle they're counting on you skipping. Return policies sound simple, 90 days. Right? Not quite. Electronics often have a much shorter window, like 15 or 30 days. No receipt? You might only get store credit at the lowest recent price. Final clearance items are usually no returns at all, and the experience changes from store to store, sometimes cashier to cashier. What should be straightforward turns into a negotiation. Even basic manufacturer warranties are a pain through Walmart. They act like a middleman and tell you to call someone 800 number or ship the item back yourself. The convenience of buying there doesn't carry over to getting help when it breaks. And remember rain checks? Those slips that let you get a sold-out sale item later at the sale price? Quietly disappeared from most stores. Walmart figured out that if you can't get the deal today, you'll probably just buy something else at full price instead. Even the clearance section is designed to mess with your head. No set markdown schedule. It's all algorithms and manager discretion, creating this chaotic treasure hunt feeling that keeps you digging through bins. It's meant to keep you in the store longer and boost impulse buys. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The real cost of shopping at Walmart isn't just what you pay at the register. It's a cost that communities pay, and indirectly all of us. When a Walmart supercenter opens in a small town or an underserved neighborhood, it gets celebrated at first. Jobs, low prices, convenience. But the long-term effects are more complicated than that. Studies show that within a few years of a Walmart opening, a bunch of local businesses close. The hardware store, the pharmacy, the family-owned grocer, they can't compete on scale. Main Street empties out. Those stores that have been there for decades just disappear. Once the competition is gone, Walmart's pricing power increases. Researchers have found that in areas where Walmart becomes the only major retailer, prices slowly start creeping back up. Those initial low prices were a strategy to gain market share, not a permanent gift to the community. What about the jobs Walmart creates? Well, they're often part-time with limited benefits and lower wages compared to the union manufacturing and retail jobs that used to exist in many areas. Economists argue about the exact numbers, but many studies suggest that for every job Walmart creates, more than one job is lost elsewhere because other businesses close. And here's something that should bother everyone. The wages are so low low that many Walmart employees qualify for public assistance, food stamps, Medicaid, things like that. Taxpayers are essentially helping to subsidize Walmart's labor costs while the company makes billions in profit. Walmart also goes hard after property tax reductions and economic development subsidies from local governments. They argue their presence brings economic activity, which sounds good until you realize it drains money from municipal budgets. Less funding for schools, roads, public services, things everyone depends on. And when a store eventually stops being profitable enough, Walmart has a history of closing locations suddenly, leaving behind massive empty buildings and communities without a major grocery or retail option. The environmental impact is huge too. The energy these massive stores use, the emissions from their trucking fleet, it all adds up. Look, I'm not saying you should never shop at Walmart, but you should go in with your eyes open. Understand that the low price on the tag is rarely the whole story. The time you waste, the health of your local economy, and how your tax dollars get used. Next time you see that bright yellow smiley face, remember, it's a logo, not a friend. It's the face of a massive corporation whose first loyalty is to shareholders, not to you. Your power as a shopper comes from awareness. Know the tricks, recognize the trade-offs, and make choices based on your actual values, not just the appearance of savings. Be smart about it. Buy the staples where it makes sense. But for things that really matter, look beyond that rollback tag. Your wallet and your peace of mind will thank you later. If you found this dive into the real world of retail eye-opening, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for frugal shopping. We're here to help you navigate the marketplace with your eyes wide open so you can keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, with you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.